Little finger fumble there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Star Trek New Worlds. My name is Tony. Thank you for joining us here live. Saturday at 11 o'clock a.m., not p.m. Thank you for those of you who caught that finger fumble when I was setting things up on the live stream the other day. Somehow I put in p.m. instead of a.m. So if you are catching this at sometime in the evening on Saturday and had intended to join us live, my apologies, my mistake. So sorry. But if you're catching us live here, as some of you are, thank you so much for joining us live. If you're catching us on the replay, then thank you for taking the time. And you're wondering, Tony, what is this thing, Star Trek New Worlds? It is a turn-based strategy game that we play online here with you, online, right now on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. We play using the rule set of Federation and Empire as published by the Amarillo Design Bureau, and the map that you will see here shortly is coming to you through the magic of Vassal. Today's episode, excuse me, is going to be, as I try and clear my throat, is going to be an interlude episode. Normally, every week we bring you the latest and greatest updates as the turns progress, but we have not yet completed our turn this week. Why? There are so many battles that have been occurring that the processing, the chugging through those calculations have been so onerous, cumbersome, and a mountain to climb for our epic, godlike GM, Daniel. So we are currently in the process of working through the very last of those turns, and I will show you the map that we have so far in the game. Today's episode, we'll be talking about specifically one specific battle between the Romulans and the Klingons. I will walk you through, as depicted on the battle sheet, the various rounds of combat, the damage that was done, where that damage was delegated or designated to be taken, and the result of that battle. Also, I'll give you a peek insight into the chaos that is currently occurring within Tholian space. So, without too much ado about anything, I will very quickly go to the interlude, or the in-between map, shall we say, that I currently have up and running, so I can show you, what is going on the Romulan border. Here we go. All right, so here is the not yet complete turn between for what will end up being turn 106. This is the in-between 106. Whoa! Ladies and gentlemen, a coffee was fired. I will speak to that in a moment as it pops up. It seems that the Juggernauts, our glorious GM, has sent us a caffeine bolt of goodness our way. For those of you who have not seen or heard a coffee fired, the sound of the disruptor, the notification that goes up, and of course in the chat you can see we are 33% towards our goal of 3 coffees for this live stream. So you can see that a piece of caffeinated goodness has made its way to us. I will take a quick sip, wet my whistle, and lubricate the larynx. Yes, a little alliteration goes a long way. Let's talk about what's going on here. So you can see on this map, this is the aftermath of the Bravo 47 battle. You can see here Green Fleet, which is, again, this is the aftermath of what happened in this battle. But here is the location of the conflict. In this hex, during the turn, a base was under construction. A base that is currently now complete. It is a YBS. Why is this so important? This is the first base station, the first fixed strategic logistical supply node and point past the border, the previous border between the Romulans and the Klingons. That double-barreled neutral zone that you can see there, this is the first fixed piece of infrastructure that has been built on either side of that neutral zone at all. So, let's go to, I guess, this hex, or this map, and I will show you. So, here you can see this that little yellow battle hex. There had been a small-scale battle that had occurred in that hex, destroying both the Klingon and Romulan ship in that hex. The Bravo 47, which again is that little spot right there, where Green Fleet is where the major battle had occurred. Forces from the homeworld had reached out to try and touch, shall we say, Bravo, Bravo 47, and a grand battle had occurred. It was something that was going to result in a total knockout of both the Romulan and... Let's not do that. Both the Romulan and the Klingon player. And the total combat factors of both the Klingon and Romulan forces were a little bit imbalanced. The total combat factor of the... And I had it written down here. It's obviously gone now. The total combat factor of the Klingon fleet was just a little bit above the Romulans, but the total defense factor was in the 150s for the Romulans, only approximately 110 or 115 for the Klingons. So what that means is, in real words, is that the Klingons had more punch, but the Romulans could take more damage. And so that was a fantastic set of events. As we go here, I'm going to show you here we are right here. I'm going to show you the capture of the notes that were taken by our GM as he was calculating the battle. So let's walk this through. Now, without knowing exactly the entire layout of each battle line, suffice it to say that the Klingons and the Romulans aligned their best ships in formation to be able to attack and destroy the opponent. You can see here, I know it might be a little hard to see. First, the Romulans have the cloaking device. We all know that. And in this game, cloaking can be used in a number of different ways. You can see here on the far left of that screen, it says Offensive Cloak 9. Now, in this particular instance, it was thought that Offensive Cloak could be used. However, it cannot, and I'll tell you why. There are two things going on in the Bravo 47 hex. One, a base was being built, and two, there was a tug providing supply. A tug providing supply to its surrounding area, which is just one of the various things that a tug can do. When it does that, it acts as a base. And in the context of Federation and Empire and you attacking that hex, that means that an approach battle is required. However, if you have a cloaking device and all the ships in your formation have a cloaking device, you can bypass the approach battle, going straight to the attack. If you choose to do that, then you cannot use cloak defensively or offensively in the battle. As in this fight, the Romulans used it to bypass an approach battle, there was no ability for them to use offensive cloak. What is offensive cloak? Offensive cloak, we talked about in the combat tutorial, which you can check out on the channel. We talked about EW, providing you an EW shift in combat, meaning that you can impact the calculation or the sort of the end up number of damage that gets delivered. Your burr gets changed, or there's a change in the calculation table for burr and the intensity of damage that you deliver. For cloak, it's very similar, not quite the same. It's very similar that if you use offensive cloak, and you can use it every battle round that you have all the ships in the battle line have cloak. Important to note, when you have a crippled ship, it can't use cloak. So if you have any crippled ships in your line, you can't use this. So if all your ships can use cloak and they have it, then you can use offensive cloak in each battle round of a battle. You can see here we had a total of 5 battle rounds. Offensive cloak allows you to reduce the burr by 1. So, or the attacker, or in this case the defender's burr, by 1. So if I had chosen a burr of 4 and the attacker chose a burr of 4 and our variable burr was 0, then our burr would have been 8. And for me, as the defender, if he had been successful on offensive cloak, then my burr would actually be 7. That significantly impacts the amount of damage that I can deliver to the Romulans. However, there is a chance, not insignificant chance, because it's 2d6. If you roll 5 or less on a 2d6, then you fumble that and you end up getting a +1 burr. Basically, you put yourself in a vulnerable position, and the opponent can increase their burr by 1. So it's a slice and dice. Excuse me, can go either way on how you want to use it. In this case, the intent was to be able to use it in the first battle round. However, in this case, you can't use it because the cloak was used in bypassing the approach battle. I know that's very wordy. So let's get to the first battle round. You can see that in the first battle round, the Romulans had a total, as I'm reading this, a total combat attack factors of 73. The Klingons had a total attack factor of 85. There was rolled an 8 burr, which translated to 24 damage delivered by the Romulans and 30 damage delivered by the Klingons. The Klingons took, it looks like, an F5, an F5C, or is that? Oh no, that's a 1 F5M, 2 F5Cs took damage. So an F5M is a 4/4 ship, takes 4 damage. F5Cs are a 5/6 ship, so it takes 6 damage. 2 of them is 12, and then it looks like an F5M was destroyed, which is 3. 2 F5Cs were destroyed, which is 6. And there is 1 minus point that resolves 30 points of damage. So in that first battle round, 2 F5Cs were destroyed and an F5M. Boom, gone. 30 damage was done on the Romulans. So they crippled 1 BHM, their Battlehawk. That takes 5 damage. I did directed damage in my battle orders. I had given directed damage instructions to cripple their YFALs. They had 2 of them in the attacking formation. YFALs are maulers, meaning they can do directed damage at 1-to-1. 1-to-1 damage versus 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 for ships in formation bonus. So those ships are brutal because they can direct damage, and if he has 2 of them, that's 14 points of directed damage he can do at 1-to-1 on specific targets. So I wanted to make sure, from my perspective, that I crippled them as soon as I could. I did 14 directed damage on 1 YFAL. You can only direct damage 1 target at a time. So I did that. That's 14 damage on a YFAL. It was crippled. He crippled a Queen Eagle, a QEM, which is 7 damage. And then there were 3 minus points left over. That is the end of the first battle round, killing 3 Klingon ships, crippling 3 Romulan ships. Again, the Romulans could just take more damage. All right, in round 2, the total combat factor of the Romulans was 71. For the Klingons, it was 83. The burr was 7. That translates into the 27 damage. Oh, this is, so you can see a little number there. I don't know if you can see it. So on the die roll to calculate where on the table you do the damage, for the Romulans, they rolled a 5, which translated to 27 points of damage. The Klingons rolled a 1, the worst possible thing you can roll, and ended up getting 23. So 23 points of damage inflicted by the Klingons, 27 by the Romulans, and here we go. Klingons had 1 minus point that takes it down to 26, meaning that 1 E4 was crippled. That's 3 damage done. 2 F5Ms were crippled. That's 8. 1 E4 was destroyed. 2 F5Ms were destroyed. 1 TGA, which is a tug that has a 4 attack, 8 defense, was crippled with 8. And there is 1 minus point remaining. The Romulans had 3 minus points, which took their 23 down to 20, meaning their YFAL, again, another one in the battle line, was crippled using 14 of those damage points. 1 Snipe B was crippled with 5. A Snipe B was destroyed with 2, leaving 1 minus point remaining. Second battle round, we have 3 Klingon ships destroyed, 1 Romulan ship destroyed, and a number crippled. Holy cow. Again, in this example, the Klingons are taking the brunt of the casualties. They are losing ships faster than the Romulans. This is important. Okay, round 3. We have a total of 69 points of damage being generated by the Roms and 78 by the Klingons. That's like a 9-point difference. That's impressive. 9 points difference. They roll. They have a burr 7 And the rules are 1 for the Romulans and 3 for the Klingons, meaning that the Romulans inflict 19 points of damage to the Klingons, 25. Klingons are resolving 19 with 1 minus point, takes it down to 18. That means 2 E4Ms are crippled for 6 points of damage. 1 E4... That's an E4MS, so that was a scout, is crippled for 3 points of damage. 2 E4s are destroyed for 4 points. 1 E4S is destroyed for another 2 points. 1 TGA is destroyed, and I had... is that TGA? Yeah, TGA is destroyed, it looks like. Sorry, TGA versus the TGB. My mistake. TGAs are a 7 attack, 8 defense ship. So the TGA was destroyed, and I believe that is the ship that was rescued by the rescue tug. I had a rescue tug in the background. Leaving 1 minus point remaining. The Romulans, resolving 25 points of damage, had 1 minus point, takes it down to 24. And here's the kicker. 2 Battlehawks crippled. 2 Queen Eagles crippled, and that's their 24. Again, ships lost on the Klingon side, ships crippled on the Romulan side. This is a very bad series of events from the Klingon side when dealing with the Roms. And unfortunately, this is just sort of the nature of the beast, because while the Romulans can't generate a lot of firepower relative to the Klingons, they can take a lot. And that's the attrition war that they're winning in this fight. In the 4th battle round, there's only 5, so second last, here we go. It's a Burr 10, meaning that we rolled the maximum on the variable Burr, and of course we both had max Burr, so that's 10 Burr, the most amount of damage we can inflict. Klingons are providing 64, the Romulans 65. Notice that number. That is the first time in this fight where the Romulans are able to generate more attack factors in a single battle line than the Klingons. However, due to the magic of the dice, the Klingons end up rolling a 4 versus the Romulans 3, giving the Klingons the advantage of providing 1 extra point of damage, 27 inflicted versus the 26 for the Roms. With the 1 minus point, that takes the 26 inflicted on the Klingons down to 25, and here we go. 2 D7Cs are crippled for 18 points of damage. 1 C6, that's my Dreadnought, crippled for 12 points of damage, leaving minus 5 points. That's a lot. The Romulans, 27 points of damage taken. They cripple 3 of their Battlehawks, 1 of their Queen Eagles, 1 of their King Eagles. Notice the difference between the Queen Eagle and the King Eagle. 7 defense factors for the Queen, 8 for the King. And then there are 3 minus points remaining. Here comes the last battle round, and then there's the pursuit. So the last battle round, the Burr is 8. We've seen Burr 7 in 2 rounds, Burr 8 now in 2 rounds, and Burr 10 in the most recent round. So we can see that the Klingons can only generate 51 points of damage to the Romulans 58 due to the rolls. The Klingons inflict 19, the Romulans 23 points of damage. This is the first and last battle round where the Romulans are inflicting more damage than the Klingons. This is important. All right, so we cripple a C6, which takes 12 damage, leaving us with 2 plus points. The Romulans have 19 with their... the 19 with minus points takes it down to 14 for the Klingons. We cripple a 12-point C6, which leaves us with 2 plus points remaining, meaning 2 points get added next turn. The Romulans have 19 with their 3 minus points, takes it down to 16. They have to cripple 1 King Eagle and kill 3 Battlehawks with 1 minus point remaining. At this point, whatever the contingency orders that the Romulans had written kicks in, and they are retreating. My order was to pursue any retreating ships. However, I can only pursue with non-crippled ships, which at this point involved 2 TGAMs, which are 7 attack, 8 defense ships with 2 battle pods each, making them 11 attack, 12 defense ships. So that's still 22 points of offensive damage. However, the pursuit roll failed, and they got away. So when this is all said and done, the damage, the end result was, and let me throw this up for you so that you can see it nice and easily. The end result was that the Romulans lost. And I'll switch over to this screen so you can see. The Romulans lost 2 King Eagles crippled, 4 Queen Eagles crippled, 2 YFALs crippled. Let me zoom in so it's a little bit easier for you to see this. So YFALs crippled, 3 Battlehawks destroyed, 3 Battlehawks crippled, 2 Snipe Bees destroyed. This translates into their entire fleet being crippled or destroyed, except for 4 Vulture M's, which are their dreadnoughts. 4 of their dreadnoughts had escaped unscathed. The Klingons, by contrast, had 2 of their dreadnoughts crippled, 2 D7Cs, which are 9/9 ships, crippled, 1 TGAM, that's a 7 attack, 8 defense ship, crippled and rescued. 2 of the F5Cs destroyed, 3 F5M destroyed, 3 E4M destroyed, and a scout destroyed. I lost a total of 9 ships in that conflict. They only lost 5. So I lost more than they did, and their ships, like I said, can just take more hits. Unbelievable. Makes me sick. So, with that said, what do you think? Based on that resolution, that discussion, that exploration of the battles that occurred in that one hex, what do you think? Do you think that do you think that the Romulans could have won that fight if they stuck it out? I think they could have. Do you think that it was prudent for the Romulans to retreat from that hex? Possibly. Do you think it was the right idea to destroy ships, keeping sort of the maximum combat effectiveness sort of on target? Both the Romulans and the Klingons seemed to have contingency orders or instructions for the combat that allowed for smaller ships to be crippled or destroyed first, keeping their big, heavy hitter ships clear and uncrippled for the rest of the fight. You saw for the Klingons in every battle round, they were able to deliver more damage than the Romulans except for the last. And in that last one, we noticed a big difference. Do you think that it could have gone the other way? Maybe if the dice had been a little different. What would this look like? And now that the base is complete, and I'll take you to the map again here. Let's go to the map, and we can see here now with how these are, how the ships are distributed. You can see here in green there is Green Fleet. If it'll stop, there we are. The YBS is complete. There is a TGB and a convoy there providing logistical support, and then there is Green Fleet. Green Fleet, as I'll show you here in a second, is this. So we have the TGAMs with the battle pods that survived. We have a D7C, which survived unscathed. We have a D7, a D6, 3 F5s, an E4, and a scout. Plus, of course, the base. That's not a lot of ships overall. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 10, and a tug. So 11 ships defending that hex. Now, we've got 2 Snipe M's, which are nothing. We have 1 War Eagle in 7th Legion. And then here we have a snipe, just a normal snipe, plus a scout, and Home Fleet in Romulan Home Fleet. You'll see here right now. You'll see that Home Fleet is essentially just the 4 Romulan Vultures, which are those 8-10 ships, and a Pelican Eagle. So we've got lots of EW for the Romulans, and of course, you've got their dreadnoughts. So what do you do here? The Romulans certainly have the capacity, the ability to be able to repair and build ships. This is within 6 hexes of their homeworld to reach out and potentially stomp this target. But what's going to happen? Who knows? It's going to be very interesting to see what happens next turn and how this continues to go forward. There's a lot of ebb and flow in this particular battle. A couple of little things to note. This little guy up here, V, the Romulans sent 2 ships up there to take it, because that's what the Romulans do. They sent so V used to be, way back when, a minor planet, I believe. It's now a colony because it's been so devastated time and time again. So the Battlehawks, Battlehawk and a Snipe went up there, encountered some resistance, but were successful and took the planet. You can see, not V, my mistake. It was Nippon. Nippon was a minor planet at one point. So my mistake. It was Nippon in Foxtrot 44 here. So a Battlehawk and a Snipe went up there to take it. They encountered a resistance. They ended up taking it. There was 1 ship remaining, which was the Battlehawk. The E4Ms showed up, wiped the Battlehawk off the face of the Earth, and then took back the planet. So here we go. We're back on track, so to speak. We've got a bunch of F5Ms that seem a little bit out on their own because, unfortunately for them, they're out of supply as of right now. They have, you can see here, we've got 4 ships, 2 of them crippled, and there is no clear supply there is no clear supply path to those F5Ms. This hex is open because Green Fleet's right here. This hex is closed because there's no adjacent ship to provide a buffer against these Battlehawks. Again, with this hex would be open, but again, there's these 2 hexes right here that impede supply. Even if supply was coming from Nepal, it can't get through Bravo 44, which is a bit of a pain, to be sure. It is what it is. What are you going to do? So that's what that looks like as of right now. And you can see we've got a couple Battlehawks, a M-era tug here, a Y-era tug here, and then, of course, a host of cripples all over the place. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the Klingon-Romulan fight evolves. But that is not the only thing that happened this turn. You might be wondering, Tony, where did all your ships go? Because you build a boat ton of ships every turn. The Romulans' new builds were included in that attack on Bravo 47, but where are yours? Well, if we look up here, the Northern Reserve Fleet, and I'll just pop this up here. The Northern Reserve, here we are. The Northern Reserve is comprised of, I'll put that right there, the battleship, a D7C, which is that command cruiser, 4 F5Cs, 3 F5Ms, and 4 E4Ms. So you've got a total of 4 plus 4 is 8, 3, 11, 12, 13 magic number ships in this hex. Not to mention there's some other things in this hex as well, but there's a bunch of ships sitting here waiting to say hello. This is an interesting location. There's so much business going on there. You've got a YDK that is currently damaged. It's got 3 SIDS of damage, a YBS under construction, and as you can see, a number of crippled ships and then ships there. What's happening here is the Romulans are engaging in a very particular strategy. They're doubling up their bases, specifically the YDKs, to be able to provide maximum repair capacity. They're creating these pointy tips of the spear, this one in the north, and of course their other one is on their homeworld, that are very hard targets to take, but they're creating a dynamic whereby they are able to win the attrition war, meaning that they have a certain number of a certain degree of repair capacity to be able to repair ships as they go. And that will allow them the ability to be able to inflict serious damage going forward. We'll have to see how this all evolves. But yeah, it's going to be very, very interesting to see how this moves forward in this regard. I don't know if this is a very interesting situation in the sense of they have repair capacity and the Klingons do not. So who's going to win? I don't know. Whatever the fight is, there definitely is going to be, again, one of these bloody mutual knockout kind of fights. But if they have, the Romulans that is, continue to maintain the ability to out-repair or bring fresh forces back to the front line, they're going to win that fight. Unless the Klingons can counter it. I don't know if that's, we'll have to see what that looks like going forward. But they have a total of, not including, not including the cripples, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 uncrippled ships in that hex. Again, magic number. 2 of them are maulers, which is just the ships I hate to hate, or I love to hate, should I say. They also have a number of crippled ships. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 crippled ships. So they have a total of 20 ships in that hex. One of them is they've got 2 maulers, but they have a dreadnought there that's crippled. It's going to take 5 points to repair it. So there's a lot there. The question is, will it be enough to be able to hold that hex? Who knows? We'll have to see. But this is a very fluid and dynamic situation between the Romulans and the Klingons. How is this going to evolve going forward? I don't know. It's going to be regardless of what happens here, it is going to be a very, very difficult series of battles to fight. I don't know how this is going to resolve. We'll have to see. So very interesting one way or the other. But that is not the only thing that is going on in this game. We have our next headline news item, which is the ISC assaults in Tholian space. All right, you can see here, this is a quick capture, and I'll show you the map here in a moment. This is a quick capture of all the battle hexes that the ISC have created during their turn. You can see here that we have, as I've been advised, there are 12 separate attacks occurring within Tholian space. 11 of them are on bases. 1 is on a planet. So 12 different supply points and nodes being attacked concurrently by the ISC. In the last turn, the ISC also hit 12 bases, meaning that they have now, in 2 turns consecutively, attacked 24, and it would seem they most likely will end up destroying or taking 24 different strategic points from the Tholians. There's certainly an impact when it comes to the amount of EP the Tholians will be able to collect. There's also an impact with regards to the amount of supply and logistical support the Tholians will be able to maintain to reach out and hurt their opponents. There's a lot going on here, and it's a little crazy. I'm going to take you in a moment here back to the map so you can see, but suffice it to say, this is not resolved yet. The battles are still ongoing, and we'll have to see. Let me take you to the real map, and I'll show you. All right, so here we are. This is the map. This is the in-process map. So you can see here these blue hexes are the raid marker just shows you where the battles are occurring. So you've got all these various battles. Now these battles are, I'm assuming, resolved, the blue ones, meaning that the bases were destroyed. This one, it would seem, perhaps is unresolved. If there is some Orions here, maybe nothing happened there. I'm not sure. You can see that this is the location of where all these bases were. Planet being taken, interesting to note, with a crippled frigate. Whew. And then, of course, this. So you've got all these bases that existed on the border with the Tholians, or on the cusp with the Tholians, and they've been destroyed. These ones are all within reach of this particular wormhole here, the November wormhole. And then, of course, these probably are the result of ships from this planet here that reached out to attack these targets. Again, they were in supply because they were on this planet. As we can see here, these 4 spots in the northern part of the territory were the sort of northeasternmost reaching points of logistical support that the Tholians had. Looks like this one is going to require some kind of battle orders, although it's just a base, so we'll have to see. Oh my goodness. So everything here has been destroyed except for perhaps this one hex. So, oh no, I guess this hex should be resolved in the sense that the base should be destroyed. There's if you have a base and there are no units there to support it. When you're conducting the battle, the attacker gets to decide the battle intensity rating, or the BUR, for both sides. Because the base is static, it has no ability to influence the degree to which the intensity of the battle. They just sit there and defend. The attacker gets all the ability to choose how intensely they attack. That's essentially what BUR is. Battle intensity rating is the determination about how aggressive you are in a fight. Since the base is static, they don't have any ability to be aggressive or not. They're just sitting there and defending. If you don't have any units or ship equivalent units on a base, fighters included, then you can't influence the BUR. The attacker picks BUR for both sides. Therefore, there is no influence or no sort of choice that the defender needs to make. Their base just goes through the calculations of figuring out how much damage they inflict or not, and that's the way it is. Also, since bases are static, they don't have the ability to retreat or anything like that, so they just sit there and soak up the damage. When you have units in the hex, of course, that changes. Like in this hex here, you have 3 CPCs. These are ships, so he has the ability, the defending player, the Tholians, has the ability to be able to select what the battle intensity rating will be on his side. Each side picks between 1 and 4. In the context, unless they have the technology, there's a tech tree that we have. So we've limited BUR 2 to be the lowest BUR that you can select, unless you have the ability to select different BUR based on the technology that you've researched. So assuming that they don't have that, then BUR 2 is the lowest they could go, and BUR 4, of course, the highest. The attackers usually pick a high BUR, as in 4, and then the calculation goes from there. You get the variable BUR in there, and away we go. So they'll get to pick the BUR. They might have instructions about whether the ships are going to retreat out of the hex or they stay and fight. And so there's a two-way back and forth there that is required when we sort of game this out. That is the crucial point as to why our turn isn't done, is that back and forth. Let me just take a second and discuss. So as we go through, oh, that's not the screen I wanted. Let's go back to the chat. Here we go. All right, so as we go through this game and we have these battles, we have to go back and forth and communicate what it is we want to do in these games or in these battles. So for example, if someone else is attacking you, you have to indicate, ooh, I want to attack intensely, high BUR, or low, or not. So I want to fight defensively, so low BUR. I want to have these specific units take damage, not these specific units. I want to spread the damage onto my base and protect my ship units, or whatever the case is. There's a variety of instructions, options available to each player when we're having various kinds of combat. That interaction, of course, they provide instructions when they initially submit their turn, but once a battle occurs, there is a back and forth that needs to happen to be able to get the instructions from each player and then resolve those battles and then give it back. As we walk through the Klingon-Romulan battle in Bravo 47, then you could see that there's a give and take as far as deciding what ships get destroyed or crippled when, and how those different points of damage get resolved. In this case, the back and forth communication takes time. We do it over email because that's the best method that we have at this time to be able to go back and forth. And so we resolve it that way. That requires that you need to check your email, and of course, players are able to, take a look at what's going on, assess how they want to fight that fight, and provide the appropriate instructions. All that means is just there's a little bit of lag time between the back and forth of these turns, which is why next week, and normally in the course of managing this game, we have a hard deadline as to when your turn needs to be submitted. In the past, of course, with the recent travel and the sort of interlude that we took, the break that we took on the game, getting back up to our cadence has sort of been very not strict. And so now, going into the next turn, we're going to be a little bit more dropping the hammer when it comes to the rules. What that means is we get the turn back on whatever day, and we have a certain number of days to be able to look at it, figure out what we want to do, and submit our turn. If your turn is not submitted within the deadline, the GM, in order to maintain the pace of the game, has to move forward with the game, meaning that if your orders, your instructions for your turn aren't in on time, they have to toll or move the turn forward without your input. Meaning if you haven't put in your instructions yet, the turn will move forward without your input, and that could be really detrimental, especially if you're the Klingons or the Romulans, maybe the ISC or the Tholians at this point, especially when you're fighting fights and you need to move ships around. So that is a very significant thing. We're going to be a little bit more strict going forward to be able to keep the cadence because, of course, here we are on Saturday. Our turn's not complete. Not because of any fault or issue with our GM. Our GM is a freaking hero, a god, a leader amongst our group because he is like Atlas, lifting this heavy load and able to move forward. He didn't get his completed turns until basically Friday morning, and in that period of time was able to move this forward ever so quickly. And being a GM in this game is a pretty significant commitment as far as your ability to be able to manage all this data information and process these turns. You have all these players and, of course, viewers depending on your ability to be able to churn out these turns. So, huge praise to our GM for getting as much done because essentially the turn is finished except for one or two battles that need the feedback or that back and forth communication from, which takes a reasonable amount of time. And we just need to be more strict about submitting our turns, getting that in on time, so that we give the GM and, of course, the players the time to go back and forth. So, with all that said, what do we have? We have, on the ISC Tholian front, we have over 24 at least, targets destroyed in the past two turns. Bases and logistical points destroyed and or planets taken. On the Klingon side and the Klingon Romulan side or their battle, we have a pugilistic process underway where they are pounding the bejesus out of each other and potentially getting close to a point of a mutual knockout. The big thing to watch in that fight is that, and this is the kicker, the Romulans, despite my desires, because I'm the Klingon player, have a distinct advantage. They are able, because of the bases and sort of the defensive nature of the way they're playing, they're developing and or have the ability to repair and get ships out back on the front faster than I do. However, as was the case previously, this is an ebb and flow situation. As the Romulans push one way, they lose that capacity and the Klingons gain it. And the Klingons push the other way, it goes the other way, and the Klingons lose that capacity and the Romulans gain it. You have this no man's land in between, effectively, where there's no repair capacity, no bases, no ability for either side to repair. And so what we're looking at is the ability for each side to be able to go back and forth and do that. What will be the determining factor, the set of circumstances that moves the needle on that front? Who knows? Right now, it seems as though there's a two-front war brewing with regards to the Romulans and the Klingons. There's the northern side, or that little spot with that YDK, and then there's the southern side with the or I guess the west/east with the Romulans and the Klingons. So which one is going to be the determining factor? Certainly, both factions can't supply ships to both fronts effectively. I mean, you got to choose one or the other. And at some point, one of the sides is going to exhaust, and it would seem as though it is more likely that the Klingons will exhaust before the Romulans because the Romulans have their repair capacity and infrastructure already in place. So if they've got that already in place, what's that going to mean? How is that going to affect things? I don't know. We'll see. We shall see. Okay, so that's that so far is the progression of the turn to this point. That's what we're looking at. That's how things are presenting. I will see two things. One, thank you. And I didn't see here because on my other screen I didn't have it. I got to fix that trigger. Another coffee was fired by someone to be able to support us here on the channel. You can see down below me, the bar is 2/3 of the way across. So thank you. Cheers to someone, whoever sent us that coffee. I'm going to take a quick sip. Cheers, big ears, to you. Maybe it's the Romulan, who knows? Thank you for the coffee support. However, I will say, our channel has stagnated yet again. It always does. We have these spurts of growth, and then we kind of plateau. We are at 331 subscribers. Dr. Death 43 seems to be our most recent subscriber, even though the number went down and then went back up again. So either my little queue there is buggy, and I have no way to know if it is or isn't, or Dr. Death unsubscribed and then subscribed somehow. Help me out. Let me know if Dr. Death 43 really is the latest subscriber by, if you haven't already, hitting the subscribe button and just helping me see if Dr. Death 43's name will change. If the number goes from 331 to 332 or more, then, and that name doesn't change, that means I got to change that trigger, and I will amend that for us in the next live stream. But yes, if you are so inclined to be able to partake in our witty banter, because after this live stream is over, we're going to be heading over to the Discord channel and chatting it up about the epic battles that are going back and forth, the current state of the ISC attacks. You can see that Paul and Dell, the ISC Riemann Alliance, are in the chat right now. They are talking about, Daniel was saying that the base in Whiskey 19 was destroyed. That was that little hex I was showing you where there was... it was the blue raid button, but there was some red units still there. Our GM is indicating that that was destroyed. There's only one hex remaining for battle, which is that one that I showed you with the 3 CPCs from the Tholian side and, of course, a boatload of Tholian ships. What is this all going to mean? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this sort of breaks out going forward. If you want to join us in that chat, that discussion, that bitty banter on our Discord channel, then you can hit that QR code over there or head over to that link, coffee.com/New Worlds, and you can join us by supporting us with that coffee link, the coffee and Discord. You want to head over there and it'll give you a prompt, a link, and get you straight in to our Discord channel. We have some, Robin, for example, is one of our most recent members in our Discord channel. You'll be able to come over, say hi to Robin and the rest of us as we say hi and figure out who's who in the zoo and what it is that we're doing in this game. There's more to discuss, of course, in the game with the map when it fully comes out in our next live stream, which will be next Saturday at 11 o'clock a.m., not p.m. Thank you, Tony, for that finger fumble. My mistakes. I am so sorry. But yes, 11 a.m. is our standard time at this point. If you, for some reason, see me make a mistake again where it says 11 p.m., not a.m., think in your head, Tony, you just might have made a mistake. And thank you. For You Can't Be Petty for letting me know about that and so that I could fix it. So with that said, let's get ourselves rolling over to the Discord channel so we can carry on this discussion. For those of you who are watching us live right now, I will meet you there momentarily. If you're catching us on the replay, again, QR code and the link is there. You can join us on that Discord channel and partake in the bitty banter whenever you so like. And of course, if you want to join in, it seems like this game might be getting closer to the end. I keep saying it's the end game. When we do start up our next game after this game concludes, if you want to partake and you want to participate, then please feel free to know that all those of you who are supporters on Coffee and or Patreon, then you get first crack at being able to join in on the next game. So with that said, thank you very much, everybody. I will see you next week at 11 o'clock a.m. Be on the lookout for polls and posts that will be coming on the community channel this week. And let me know who you think is going to be the winner in the battle between either the Tholians and the ISC or the Romulans and the Klingons. Or is there another conflict that has yet to be discovered or unveiled? You let me know. There was some interesting chatter on the on the Discord prior to this live stream. All I will say is that the daggers, the knives are being sharpened. The question is, whose back are they going to be stuck in? I have this feeling it might be mine. We'll see. Anyways, I will see you all in the Discord. I will see you next week. And ciao for now. See you later.